don't really remember this. I've written it down.
Oh, you've done it again, haven't you?
It's kind of. Basically, I woke up one morning from a really weird dream. I know that. And I thought, I have to write this down and tell Ben about this on the podcast. I can't remember any of it. All I have is what I've written. And what I've written is, had dream where scientists had found a robotic being or had created one. It looked human or mostly human. And I was one of the scientists testing and finding out about it. And it really liked me and I fucked it.
Isn't that Weird Science? Isn't that what happens in Weird Science?
Kind of, but in this, I
I've seen that film, but I remember people talking about it.
imagined I worked at something like NASA or Apple. And we found an alien.
With Asimo. Do you know Asimo, the little robot guy?
No.
He's like made by Toyota, I think, or something. He's like a robot guy. And he actually can leave the ground when he runs. Yeah. And I just imagine you fucking that robot. Programming his arm to move up and down while clenched or something.
Yeah.
Was it male or female?
I think it was female. But maybe it's not that obvious when they're alien. I think it was female. But it really liked me.
If they done anything like that where someone falls in love... Oh, well, there was a film with Al Pacino called Sim 1 or Simone. Mm. And it was Simone, but it was Sim 1. And it's basically, he creates a woman. I think he does it purely in the computer rather than an actual physical thing. Yeah. But he creates her on the computer and he gives her, like, she's got a face and she basically becomes his girlfriend. He falls in love with her, but she's just a computer. Mm. And I think eventually they make her and she's got her memory, but he falls in love with her. There is that film.
There's also Wall-E falls in love with Eve.
They are both robots, so it's sort of allowed.
Yeah, but she's kind of an alien-y type robot. She's like an Apple-y type robot.
Yeah, she is. Yeah, he's
and
PC.
He's yeah. Also, do you remember in one of the later seasons of Buffy, the character Warren builds a girlfriend, makes a robot girlfriend?
Who's Warren? I don't remember that.
He was a bit of a dick. It was like season 5 onwards at least.
All right.
And there was a team of 3 people. It also had the character Jonathan.
Were they the Special Forces guys with Riley and all that?
No, it was the season after that.
Okay.
I think. And they were just basically geeks in their bedroom who were like geniuses.
Oh, yeah, I do remember this. Very, very, very vaguely.
And they were the worst ever villains, but they were quite funny. And there was one where Warren built a girlfriend.
Okay.
That'd be awesome.
And his name is yours, but with a W rather than an F.
Now, what I've been doing lately is, because I've got quite a lot of time to listen through on my iPod, I get through about anywhere between 4 and 6 albums a day. I've been going on my iTunes and listing it by stuff that I've never played. So I've been listening to like Avril Lavigne, Evanescence, all the female singers, Soundgarden, B-sides, Primus. Have you ever listened to Primus?
I only really know their South Park song. Are they anything to do with a band called Ween? Was there any sort of link there?
I think they're in the same kind. I think they would tour with each other. I think they were from the same group.
Because I remember someone playing me something out of a Ween song, and it sounded very much like Cartman, like as if I don't know if the 2 guys had anything to do with that.
I don't know.
Like Trey Parker and Matt Stone.
Take That. I've been listening to new album, a little disappointing. The new Nickelback album.
How's that?
Also a little disappointing, but they were never amazing.
But what were you to expect, really, from a 4th Nickelback album? 5th?
It was quite poppy.
What is it? What album is it?
I think it's like 6th.
Bloody hell.
It had some tracks that were super poppy. Do you remember a band called Sugar Ray?
No.
They had a...
There's a boxer.
Well, they were named after him, I assume. They had a fairly big single called When It's Over, and another one called Every Morning. They were quite poppy as well.
I can't remember them. Is he with Avril Lavigne, Chad Kroger?
Yeah, he co-wrote and produced a song off her last album, and it was actually quite good, but it sounded very much like a Nickelback song.
Is she still hot?
Yes, she looks almost exactly the same. Well, in one of her latest songs called Here's to Never Growing Up, she puts on the Skater Boy outfit and looks almost exactly the same.
Oh dear.
It's good times.
The original Miley Cyrus.
Do you want any whiskies?
No, I'm going to stick with this Lafroig, thank you. Last time I mixed beers, last week, and I was destroyed. So this time if I mix whiskies, I'll probably have a brain hemorrhage or something.
Well, I'll record it.
Yeah.
We can all listen to the bubbling noise. Okay, I've got something to talk about. That is music based. It's not like porn or something to do with what it's like to piss at a urinal.
I like that. Was that included?
What, pissing at a urinal?
Was that included in the podcast?
That was in the previous one.
Yeah, I like that too.
I like that. It
reassured me.
Ever since we talked about that, I told you about the thing at my work. Did I tell you that they've got a urinal and one cubicle, which is quite limiting to a team of about 45 guys?
But at least it means no one's going to be stood there staring at you or next to you.
Well, no, it's just one cubicle between 45 guys.
I know urinal as well.
So I have I have to use the urinal.
Or just shit yourself.
Yeah.
It must be alright using one urinal though, rather than two.
But it's enough room for 2, even 3 people at the urinal.
Yeah, but no one's going to be stood next to you, is my point. Like, you're just going to be just you.
No, yeah, there's people stood next to you at the urinal.
Why?
Well, they don't tend to wait if there's space.
No, but you said there's one urinal.
Oh, no, it's
like
more,
a trough?
It's more like a trough.
Oh, I get you.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. I thought you meant like one... I was going to say, that's a bit weird.
No,
Three of you.
It's like a trough that
all
you
pissing
can
into your urinal at the same time.
eat out of like a pig.
Yeah. And you have done.
But every time I walk into that room and the door's closed for the cubicle, I'm like, oh, fuck's sake. And then I think of you.
I'm flattered. If that's my legacy, I'm happy.
That's your lasting impression.
Yeah.
Okay, back to music.
Mm-hmm.
Have you heard of something called the Loudness War?
No, but it sounds very interesting.
The Loudness War, it's been going on since the 40s. And it's one of these things that I've read about probably about 10 years ago. And it's stuck in my brain. And every release that has been affected by it, I've kept in my brain as well. Basically, in the 40s and 50s, they would have singles that were mastered at different volumes. Everyone was trying to master their single at a higher volume. So when it came on the radio, it would sound better.
A bit like the way that adverts now just get really fucking loud.
Yeah, you're watching a really dramatic episode of, I don't know, Game of Thrones or something, and then it goes to the advert break and it's just...
Tampons.
Puzzle!
Yeah.
When it changes between song and song, obviously the next person that...
They want their song louder. So
yeah, they want their song to be the hot song.
Okay.
But that also transferred over onto albums.
What if they did that on the radio? Wouldn't they just lower the volume of the song?
Well, that's the thing. On the radio, it's nowadays especially, they'll have equaliser settings already set up. So everything will be as to not like completely blast out the listener. So it's kind of pointless nowadays. But back then, they didn't have that. And particularly on like jukeboxes, it would be whatever was louder would sound louder and better.
Okay.
So as time went on, when CDs came out in the late 80s or mid 80s or whenever they came out, it opened a whole new door of how loud you could make a song because it was digital.
Yeah. What, retain the quality by having it louder and stuff?
Well, that's the thing. Not retain the quality. Just make it louder.
Okay.
And they made it louder to an extent where it sounded worse. And there are certain songs affected by this as time went on that they pushed them up so loud that you can hear them distorting and crackling.
Okay.
Sort of in the mid-90s when everything became computerised in production, or most things did, it got even worse. And it hit its peak around about 2005, where you'd have a lot of punk rock and rock stuff that was so ridiculously loud you could hear it crackling. And there are certain particular albums affected by this.
Okay.
Are there any that you could think of that could possibly be affected by this? Most of the ones on my list are since 2000.
Because there's a band called Alt J. Have you heard of them? They're pretty good, like pretty good band. But they've got a song that has that almost muffled, distorted sound. But I think it's actually an effect they've deliberately done.
Right. Okay.
But it sounds like when I got it, it was on the iPod. I think Steve had it, the CD or something, or the thing, and he put it onto my iPod, and it was the actual proper version. And it sounds distorted, but I think it's actually meant to be. No, I wouldn't know any, to be fair. I mean, I've never been one to pay too much attention to production as such, but unless it's like really sort of lo-fi. But
okay, I don't
really know.
I'll go through a few. Songs for the Deaf, ironically, by Queens of the Stone Age.
Okay.
It's so loud that you can hear it crackling on certain players.
Okay.
Pearl Jam 10, the remastered edition. That was remastered.
Remastered?
Yeah,
bad.
too high.
That's bad.
Oasis, What's the Story, Morning Glory.
Ah.
I mean, think of how like in your face Wonderwall sounds when it comes on the radio.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it's mastered higher than most songs.
Okay. Are these ones where can you hear the peaks in that though?
Not in that. I'm going to get to a point. I'm going to play you a tiny couple of bits.
Maybe there's a bit of the bass when the bass goes do 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 like that.
The most recent Cure album as well, heavily. They compress the noise in certain ways that means that they can peak certain bits of it higher than by cutting out other noises. There are lots of technical terms for it, but I can't remember all those. The first Arctic Monkeys album.
Okay.
Led Zeppelin Mothership, which was the 2-disc best of.
All right.
It was remastered, and it was remastered a bit too high.
It's a bit embarrassing if remasterings do that.
See, it's interesting because I've listened to albums throughout the years and I thought, wow, that's really fucking high. And then I've read this, or a couple of articles, and they've mentioned all ones...
Has it made you feel better, like you're not going insane?
Yeah, a little bit, yeah. Metallica Death Magnetic.
That was their most recent one, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's really crackly at certain points, I think. It depends how prissy you are about music. But one thing that's quite interesting about that is you can actually go online and see the waveform files. You know, when it has the different waves of the certain peaks in the song. Yeah. Like we're looking at when we're recording. You can see the CD version of that and the Guitar Hero. You know, they had a Metallica version for Guitar Hero.
Oh, right, okay.
It was a whole Metallica Guitar Hero game.
Oh, wow.
And the Death Magnetic songs on that, you can actually see their different files. They don't peak as much. So they were given ones that were mastered differently.
For that game?
Yeah.
So the ones on Guitar Hero are better produced than
the
ones on the actual...
On the CD version. Californication is also known as one of the worst offenders for it.
Oh, really?
The album.
Song?
The album. Yeah. Tell me if you think if you hear it crackle.
Scar tissue that I wish you saw. Sarcastic Mr. Know-It-All. I'll close your eyes and I'll kiss you, 'cause with the birds I'll share. With the birds I'll share this lonely view. And with the birds I'll share this lonely view.
This is a good one for it.
How long will I slide or separate my side? I don't believe it's been.
Did you ever notice that before?
No, but I don't pay attention to that sort of stuff.
For me, I'm like, is there something wrong with my...
Well, that little crackle.
Yeah, is there something wrong with my speakers? Or it's even worse if you listen to it on headphones. Now, what's interesting for Californication is some fan somewhere has got hold of the master tapes and remastered it and remixed it that it doesn't crackle.
How does ever... Have you got it?
Yeah. Someone posted it online.
Oh, wow.
That they've gone to the effort of remixing it, and it's
good on them.
It's noticeably quieter.
Are they now a producer?
But I hope so. So I have to turn it up a bit.
How long will I slide or separate my side? I don't believe it's been.
It's weird because it's done a thing where, like, I never knew the importance of when people have had HD TVs back when they, just came around. I'd walk in, it'd be HD. I wouldn't really notice difference. Then they show it to you compared to the old one. You're like, fucking hell.
Yeah, and someone has done a better job than someone who's probably paid thousands to mix it the first time around. So I listened through I think it's like 19 tracks long, because they've remixed the B-sides for the album as well.
Oh, yeah.
But one thing I picked up, there's one song that's actually got a slightly different section on it. It's not just mastered better, there's a vocal in there that wasn't there before. How well do you know the song Easily?
Yeah, pretty well.
So you would remember...
It's probably one of my favourites on the album, to be fair. Track 7.
That's the normal CD version.
It doesn't work as well in terms of I think it sounds better with that bit left out, but it's weird to know that they did that and that he's got hold of the rushes, whatever they're called.
And put it back in.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. Oh,
it overdoes it a bit, that section with that.
It kind of blew my mind.
But it's nice to know that's there, yeah.
I slightly prefer it.
Do you?
Yeah. Because that's more like how they are live.
Yeah, I suppose so, but it sounds a bit too clean on that, I feel.
Because he tries to improv little bits like that.
Yeah, yeah. That's good though.
I thought you'd be interested to hear
that.
Yeah,
that's really cool. Is there any more bits in the album?
That was the only...
Did you listen through to the whole thing?
I listened through the whole thing. Actually, Road Tripping...
Yeah.
He gave 2 mixes of it, one without the strings in the background.
All right. How does it sound just acoustic then?
The same, without strings.
Do you know what that reminds me of? Just hearing that with the extra bit in. You know when you listen to Mesmerise... and then the Soldier Side, and then you listen to Hypnotise, and you've got the other version of Soldier Side, and at the end it kicks on with the Soldier Side with distortion bit.
Yeah.
It's cool hearing the different... It feels like that to me when you hear the same song but in a different way.
Yeah.
I like that whole thing, though, Loudness more.
Yeah, so particularly music that came out around sort of 2000-ish to 2005, when digital production had reached its peak and people were just trying to make it as loud as they possibly could. All the punk rock stuff that got released around that time was really loud.
Well, it needed it, because usually it was really lo-fi and shit.
An interesting bit of trivia, Guns N' Roses' Chinese Democracy, when they mastered it...
What, the actual when they finally released it, like?
Just before, when he'd finished recording it finally after 13 years, I think, when he gave it over to the people to mix and master it, they presented him with 3 different versions.
Is this because you said about where he had so many different bits by different guitarists and session musicians over the years?
No, that's a whole other story. There's so many little stories in this long album it took to create. But they presented him with 3 different mixed versions. One that was the loud version that would have competed in the Loudness War. One that was a full dynamic range version, I think it was called. And one that was in between the two. And he chose the full dynamic range version.
Is that basically the most quality?
Yeah. But
surely you'd think everyone would choose that, because it doesn't matter if it's going out over radio and stuff anyway, or even on speakers.
I think the loud ones sound better.
You think they just go for quality because people can turn it up?
Well, supposedly the whole Loudness War has come to an end because of things like Spotify and Deezer, and all radio stations now go through their own equaliser, so it's made redundant.
Well, I thought it would have years ago, like 10, 20 years ago.
iTunes Radio and iTunes Store has its own sound check thing. So it's now, in the past...
You might as well go for quality, because you can just turn up your speakers.
Yeah.
I thought that would have been the case for 20 years. Why is it not? Why was it not like...
It's been the case for about 5 years.
Why, though? Is there a reason? It doesn't make sense.
No, I have to agree. It doesn't make sense.
But does life?
Okay, I'm going to play you a song by Joe Satriani. And you have to tell me which band he sued when they ripped it off.
Okay.
Joe Satriani recorded and released this song in 2004. A very popular mainstream band released a song later than this, and he sued them, and it was settled out of court. Basically, he won.
Is it like Doves or Elbow or something?
No.
No.
Yeah,
Oh no! Don't tell me.
More popular than those.
Coldplay.
Yes.
Yeah. I don't know what the song's called, but I know the song. Is it off of their third album? The one that starts dun 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 dun. It starts with the strings, doesn't it? Yeah. Good. Fuck Coldplay.
It's this bit. Is it?
It's the whole thing, really. It's more the standard chorus.
So, Joe Satriani sued Coldplay. He released his song in 2004. Coldplay released Viva La Vida in 2006. And I think they even admitted to saying they'd listened to it around the time. Which is a bit stupid.
The thing is, though, all a band is, really, all you are is the accumulation of everything you've listened to. I know it's a bit of a direct rip, but I don't know. I wouldn't have thought they would have listened to Joe Satriani.
What was that noise? Around about the time it was actually in court, there were quite a few mashups online, and they sounded amazing. Basically, it was a Coldplay song with a super awesome guitar solo by Joe Satriani. And I'm going to see if I can find it.
Okay. Hi.
Hi. There's a massive spider downstairs.
Do you want me to get it?
Yeah.
You're not scared of him, Farren?
I'm going to eat it.
He's scared of them, but less so than I am. So.
I'm scared of
It's huge. It's fucking huge.
Where is it?
On the door frame in the living room.
You killing it?
I was just going to fuck it.
Okay. What you should do is shove it down your underpants and let it run around.
Sorry to interrupt.
That's. I would have done the same for a spider.
I was trying to find a good mashup.
You were playing one.
Love that song. The other thing that you text me that you wanted to talk about is the concept of a Dyson fleshlight that sucks you off.
Oh yeah. Well, it pretty much speaks for itself. I was thinking they've got all this new innovation Dyson with sucking and blowing, basically.
Yeah.
So I just figured if they were to create a fleshlight, they could probably create one that's like sort of some sort of vacuum powered thing. But I bet they could do a good one. I bet they could do that.
Would it have a suck and blow option?
Would that be to like expand your penis?
Do you know you can get fleshlights in the shape of porn actresses?
Wait, in the shape of their downstairs bits?
Yeah.
Have they actually gone through the moulding process?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah.
That doesn't surprise me because I remember watching a programme years and years ago, and it was a woman who her husband was going on like a long-term... I can't remember if she was a porn star or he was a porn star, sorry, but her husband was going away. It might not have been that at all, but her husband was going on like a 6-month journey to like the other side of the world or something, and she wanted a model of his penis as a dildo, and so they got like a bucket full of like cement or whatever it is, and they like literally they dipped his willy in it till it solidified, then took it out,
Right.
and then made the mould of his penis from that.
Oh. That's nice.
Veins et al. But yeah, so that doesn't surprise. But yeah, I never knew that. But I thought that Dyson would probably make a bloody good one, given that they're like the world leaders in suction and blotion.
I'd have a Henry Hoover one.
Not even Hetty.
No.
We've got a Hetty at home.
I want Henry.
For years, I've wanted Henry. Maybe Charles.
I used to be a cleaner.
Oh, so you used to be a Hoover. That's what they called you.
I used to suck anything up. I used to be a cleaner in a primary school.
Is that look like an assassin in the primary school?
They actually let me work in a primary school.
Bloody hell.
It was actually, in some ways, the best job I ever had.
What was one of those songs you played me on the quiz, Farren?
What?
The Lost Prophets one?
Yeah, no, it's the best job I ever had in some ways, because it was about 2-hour shift each day, 5 days a week. And you could have your headphones on the whole time. Much like my current job. But you'd stand up the whole time, so you get a good bit of exercise. The majority of the teachers were in their late 20s and female. Yeah.
So you put those rubber gloves on. And killed them.
Antiseptic sort of stuff and cleaning fluid works as lube.
Mop handle. Good. Where, was that in Leicester or was that down in High Wycombe way?
That was in Leicester, Oadby.
Because all the teachers were in their late 20s, all male.
Yeah. They were all men in their 60s.
Yeah. I know, I've never like done that.
What, clean things?
Yeah, never. It'd be kind of cool because I guess it's quiet as well because a lot of people would have gone home at that point.
Yeah, you start at like 3:15 or something, or 3:45.
Although most horrors there's a cleaner wearing headphones. Look, really unfortunate soul. I'm trying to think what else has happened. What can I talk to you about?
You ever been to Alton Towers?
Not recently.
Do you ever plan on going again?
No. And on a ride called the Smiler. Is there a porn movie called The Smiler?
Did you hear about the girl that apparently had like a leg amputated or something?
Did that happen? I know that there was varied reports of what happened.
I heard that there was... I read the first paragraph of an internet article, and that's my entire knowledge on the subject, which is how the world works today.
Well, there's not much footage of it, apparently. It was like footage sort of filmed halfway through, but then...
I think there was like a broken down carriage midway through the ride, and another carriage collided with it.
But they could see it.
Yeah.
It would have made a great photo.
And
Once a shock.
Oh yeah, because they do those photos of you like
top,
mid-ride.
That'd have been the most convincing.
One of the biggest stories from it is there's a couple, teenage couple.
And it was like their second date or something.
Their first or second date, and now she's having to have one of her legs amputated. And they showed a picture of her, and I still would.
It's a bit cruel of him with all this publicity. If he then's like, you know what? I had second thoughts for some reason. Yeah. Cold feet.
Cold foot.
Yeah, I remember she was an attractive girl.
She was.
Was. You bastard.
I don't actually like rides like that anyway, so they're fools for getting on it in the first place. Seriously, I go to a theme park and I have a bit of candy floss and get on a log flume. And when I say a log flume, I go to the toilet.
Yeah. Make your own log flume. The thing is, I like roller coasters, but since I went to America and went on some, they're so much safer. Like, you go to America and you go on, then you come back to Alton Towers and you think... Because I went there before and, like, after I'd been in America, like, and I thought, like, it just doesn't feel as safe and stuff. Because Americans are so scared of getting sued.
Yeah.
I know they are here now, but it just seems so, like, you know, by the book. Especially in the big theme parks. You kind of come back and you think, do we really know what we're doing? Because we've only really got, like, 3 parks that are massive, like Chesington Thorpe Park and Alton Towers.
Yeah.
When in America, they got fucking loads.
There's also... Does American Adventure still exist?
There's Ireland... What, in UK?
Yeah.
I don't know what that is.
I swear somewhere there's an American
It rings a bell,
Adventure.
I've heard of that, but I don't know what it is.
It really sounds like someone's having a hefty old piss outside.
For like 3 hours. A whole army of burglars just stood on your road just pissing relentlessly. Why are we looking up the White Stripes?
The reason the White Stripes were in my Safari browser, I was...
Knocking one out, thinking of Meg.
Yeah. No, she's kind of weird looking.
Yeah, she's not that.
I've been making a best of White Stripes playlist, so I've been listening through their albums because they're also on my play counts. They've got 0 plays, and they're actually they're really good.
Did you not listen to him before then?
No, not really.
Oh,
Other than the obvious singles that everyone heard.
The album White Blood Cells was really good when that came out.
And the album after it was really good.
Yeah, Elephant.
Then it tailed off. I was reading their Wikipedia pages, and actually one of the reasons they broke up, because they broke up about 4 years ago, Jack White felt that Meg wasn't really interested in it. He felt that he would have some sort of amazing moment in the studio or in a rehearsal and play something amazing, and she'd just be like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, she always had that look of not really caring, but I didn't know if that was just part of her look.
Mm.
But I think she might be quite shy and stuff. He was married to her.
Was he?
Yeah, he's not really his sister.
Really?
Yeah, he's not really called White. His real name's
Black.
Jack Black. His real, I can't remember what his real, Gillies or something.
That's it.
John Gillies?
So, and
The
then
third or something like
and
that.
then she took his fake name.
I think her name might have... I can't remember if her name was Meg White, but they were married. They're not brother and sister. It's just a big sexy fantasy.
Really?
Yeah, check it out.
I'd rather you tell me.
Okay.
Especially if you get it wrong.
I don't know if her name was Meg White, but his name isn't Jack White. That in real life, I'm sure they were married.
Right.
They found divorce papers or something, but they were married. But they stayed. They were divorced by the time they were in White Stripes, I think.
Right. Okay.
But they stayed friends. They just like got on and then did the band. But the whole
She did the band,
yeah,
which consisted of
100% of them,
yeah.
including herself. Yeah, I think that's basically the story of them. But their whole idea is that they're brother and sister, just because their whole like, brother and sister all wear red and white and all that, and just like kind of cool.
Something interesting I read about when they were recording. Was it White Blood Cells then?
Yeah, that was their third album.
That was the first one they had on a major record label.
Yeah, that was with like Fell in Love with a Girl and Hotel Yorba and all that.
Yeah, when it was being mastered in the studio, he asked the people mixing it and mastering it, he said, don't make it sound too good.
Probably. They did a thing...
Which I think is typical of what I've heard of him.
One of my mates was massive, we probably still is, but he was massive White Stripes fan. And he was saying, because they had their first album called, I think it was just called White Stripes.
Mm.
Then they had an album called Distilled.
Right.
And then they had White Blood Cells. Then they had Elephant.
Yeah.
And it kind of White Stripes, the first album, was very basic. Then Distilled was a bit more complex. Then they went back to basic for White Blood Cells. Then they went back to a bit more complex and a bit more things happening in Elephant.
And then they had...
Get Behind Me, Satan.
Yeah, and then there was one more album, which had...
Icky Thump.
Yeah, Icky Thump on it.
That's a good song.
And then they broke up in like 2011.
Then he had the Raconteurs.
Yeah.
And he also is now he just does Jack White.
Hmm.
But he has two bands with him, touring. He has a male band and a female, all male band, all female band. And apparently on each night you don't know which one he's going to show up with.
Hmm.
And there's that documentary I told you about, isn't there?
Is one the
It might
Spice
get loud.
Girls?
I hope so. And I hope the other one's the Backstreet Boys. Or Jackson 5. Or Jackson 4.
Jackson White.
Oh, that's great. There are similarities in how they look, actually. Both got sort of pinched up noses, straggly black hair, really pale faces. And
Seven Nation Army becomes like Heal the World.
yeah. And they both got ties to Detroit. He's from Detroit.
Mm.
And Motown is a record label in Detroit. And why is it called Motown?
Because they were dancing, which is motion, and they're in a town. So Motown.
It's good, but it's not true.
No? Oh.
Basically, Detroit was known as Motor City or Motor Town. Because that's where they made loads of cars, so Motown.
Mm. Or they had some sort of motor neuron disease caused by car fumes in a town. So Motown.
Name some bands from Detroit. That's one for you.
Eminem.
Yeah.
That's it.
White Stripes. Alice Cooper, I believe.
Oh.
Iggy and the Stooges. Several others. I think, what are they called? The Von Bondies. Have you heard of them?
Yeah.
They're all... And Dirt Bombs, I think they're all Detroit bands. They're like the garage rock scene that came around the same time as that.
Dirt Bombs. That sounds like a weird sexual thing.
That's where you shit in your hand and just fling it on the floor really angrily. There were loads of Detroit bands all throughout the ages. Like Motown was from there.
Dirt Bomb is when you pull out, but there's a bit of leakage, but you still go for it. That's a dirt bomb.
It's a dirt bomb.
Yeah. And White Stripes is is when after a dirt bomb you pull out and you spray all down the back.
Just say give them some war paint.
Yeah.
There's loads
And you do it at the Hotel Yorba.
And white blood cells
Over
what vanish when
Yeah.
you do too many of them acts.
And you finish with an Icky Thump. With a girl called Jolene.
I was about to say that, you bastard.
But then you have to pay her, which is called Black Math.
She was severely overweight, like an elephant.
But then you get behind her like Satan. Tear her panties to shreds like dead leaves on the dirty ground.
And tell her we're going to be friends.
That's what happens when you fall in love with a girl.
Farren.
What?
It's a band from Detroit.
There's another band from Detroit.
Loads of bands from Detroit.
Strokes? They're New York, aren't they?
New York. Even though a couple of them went to like an elite boarding school in Switzerland. I think George Casablancas and Nick Valenci. Is that his name, the guitarist?
I think, didn't Drew Barrymore go out with the drummer?
Yeah.
I get the feeling
Not Sergio, is it? What's his name?
she went out with a lot of drummers.
Probably. What was his name?
Some dude with floppy hair.
Fabio Moretti. Fabrizio Moretti.
That's it. Should we set some homework for each other to listen to?
Probably. We haven't done that for a while, have we?
Do you think for the next time we get together, we should have listened to the new Muse album?
Yes.
Definitely.
Yeah, I might invite tomorrow.
Should we just say we should definitely listen to the new Muse album because we didn't talk about Muse enough?
Well, we did. we fucking nailed it. But yeah, we'll speak about more.
As well as listening to Muse, which I'm sure we'll be able to talk about for ages, I'm going to lend you Jack's Mannequin.
Oh, you did say it. Is this their first album?
Yes.
Are they from California? Yes.
Yeah, I think so. Now, you say about there are certain albums that are dear to your heart.
Yeah.
That would be in my top 3.
Alright. Oh, not songs, chapters.
Yeah. And instead of having a bonus track, it's a bonus chapter.
What have I got to give you to listen to?
I listened to Silverchair.
You listen to Smile.
Mm.
You already know Interpol.
Yeah. There's nothing by the Chili Peppers that you can physically give me to listen to. Or for Shanti.
No. You listened to Mars Volta as well, didn't you?
Yeah.
You listened to Smashing Pumpkins as well, didn't you?
Mm. At some point, I've got to give you Jane's Addiction to listen to.
Yeah, you've also got to give me Mother's Milk. No, One Hot Minute to listen to.
Mm.
Jesus, this is hard.
I have that effect on people. 12.
Okay, I've got one for you. It is a double album.
Yeah.
Quadrophenia by The Who. Do you like that sort of era? Sort of 60s, 70s rock?
I like Led Zeppelin.
They're different to Led Zeppelin.
You tend to give me 60s stuff to listen to, and I tend to give you 2000s.
None of the
2000s.
stuff I gave you was recorded in the 60s.
Right.
Okay, let me give you something modern. Alt J, An Awesome Wave.
You might have to text me and remind me that, because I might not remember it.
Alt J, An Awesome Wave. Do you remember the time there was a girl from Mars? Do you remember when you first sort of started hearing music that was... Well, like my dad's always been into rock and all that. I mean, my mum generally is into like... My mum used to like stuff like, I guess, Spandau Ballet, Carpenters, you know, stuff like that. But, you know, when you used to... Obviously, when you're growing up, you hear a lot of pop music on the radio. Do you remember a time when, like, you kind of, like, started hearing more, like, alternative stuff and thinking... Getting this feel of it.
And thinking, this is my music.
Yeah.
Yeah. My parents listened to a lot of Michael Jackson, 80s stuff like Aha, Spandau Ballet. And then I remember hearing Blink-182 and then hearing Jimmy Eat World, which you can hear kind of transition from Blink-182 being a very pop-punk sound to Jimmy Eat World having a slightly more emo sound to it. They were called... Jimmy Eat World were actually called one of the first emo bands in 96, 97. when emo meant emotional music and not
Emo.
not emo as we know it.
Yeah.
So I would say that Jimmy Eat World were one of my first bands that were mine, that I didn't know many people that liked. Have you ever listened to them?
Jimmy Eat World?
Mm.
This is the weird thing about them, is I never listened to them. I never sat down and listened to the album, like, with Fun If You said, with Blink and all that. Like, I used to listen to, like, when I was growing up, it was like, with my mum, it was like Carpenters, Spandau Ballet, Queen, and also...
Rod Stewart?
No.
No.
I'd say more the sort of slightly pop, but also, like, with my dad, it was like Hendrix, Zeppelin. Although I never used to be into Zeppelin until I started playing guitar, really. That's when I started getting into Zeppelin, but I suppose The Who and a bit of, like, Clapton, Cream. But Blink, I started getting into, I guess, around the time All the Small Things and all that. That's when I started getting, because a lot of people got into them during Dude Ranch, sort of, and all that. But I didn't really know until Edinburgh Estate.
Yeah.
When Take Off Your Pants and Jacket and Hooray for Boobies, by Bloodhound Gang.
I remember Take Off Your Pants and Jacket coming out.
Yeah.
It being a cool thing to have that album.
Yeah. And then,
I think I was in year 6.
For me, it was that and Hooray for Boobies. That when they first came out, that's when I first started feeling like I was part of that, looking out for their videos on telly. Or
That
like the
was
box.
late 2000, early 2001. Wheatus were massive around
Wheatus were massive around then.
Jimmy Eat World have a lot more...
But yeah, so this is what you asked me. I completely didn't even answer you. Jimmy Eat World, I never listened... My mates used to listen to their albums and stuff. I was never into them at the time. I only knew probably one song off Bleed America. And I remember my mate having the copy of Bleed America. Then the whole September 11th thing happened and they changed the name or something.
Yeah.
And then I never listened to it. But then I used to hear loads of their songs, but I never knew it was them. But then I saw them live about 3 or 4 years ago. And I saw them in Leicester. At O2 Academy. You know,
really?
Leicester
When?
Uni. About 4 years ago.
Oh, fuck off.
Yeah, they played. And I realised I knew pretty much every song. And it was weird. Like, I didn't realise it was them. But you know, you sit there and you think, oh, I know this song. Like, shit, I know this one.
You need to listen to their album.
There's a band called Twin Atlantic. Have you heard of them? They were. I thought they were shit, but they supported them. They had another band I think possibly supporting as well, but they had Twin Atlantic supporting them, and they were rubbish. But then about a month or two later, they started being on the radio all the time. It's like, why? They're just a middle of the road sort of rock band, really. But yeah, Jimmy Eat World played.
You need to listen to their albums because there's way more depth to that band than most people know. Because they have a good couple of pop songs every album, that's what they get known for. But if you have to actually listen to the albums, they're brilliant.
Okay. But they open with, what's that? Bodies on the asphalt.
Salt, Sweat, Sugar.
Yeah, that's what they open with.
Also...
Brilliant. And they ended with Everything, is that what it's called? What if it's... Text Mom...
The Middle.
The Middle.
Yeah. Also...
I'm bad with lyrics.
If you take... they're known as Jew. Jimmy Eat World.
Okay.
Which is the main reason I like them.
Yeah, was that the sort of time when you started like feeling your own sort of...
Yeah, and then I think the next band I liked after that was Millencolin.
Okay, so you went more into the punk sort of side of things.
Yeah, well, I felt cool because no one knew who Millencolin were.
I remember one of my other mates being really into Newfound Glory, and then Linkin Park came around around that time.
The lead singer of Newfound Glory, as he's aged, started to look like Quentin Tarantino. It's quite weird.
Really?
Yeah.
Sort of hook nose, sort of squash nose sort of thing.
But a weird kind of flat but mouldy face. I say mouldy, I mean like moulded in a weird way.
Yeah. I remember going through that sort of phase at school where, like, when I was a bit younger, like, just ended up liking pop music. So I think that's because the cab's on its way for me. Taxi's outside.
Outside?
Apparently so.
That's early. Shit the bed.
Yeah.